Hi, my name's Deputy Holt with the Livingston County Sheriff's Office. Today we're going to do a little public service announcement on some scams that we've been seeing. The first one we're going to talk about is what's called the overpayment scam. Now this scam starts with a business transaction, and our victim receives a check in the mail that's way too much over from what they charged. So for example, if you charge somebody $300 for a product or service, you receive a $3,000 check in the mail. And through correspondence with our suspect, they make a remark to something of effect of, oh, my accounting department must have messed up, or oh, I added an extra zero too much. Just deposit the check and keep what you owe me and send me the rest back. Now this all sounds good, except the check that they sent you, or they sent our victim, is a false check. It's not a real check. And the banks don't know that for a couple days. Once you deposit this false check, it actually shows as a pending transaction in your bank. So a reasonable person would send what they're owed back to our suspect. So $2,700 goes to our suspect via another way, possibly Venmo or PayPal or Western Union or something like that. Unfortunately, in a couple days, when the bank realizes that it's a false check, our victim ends up being out the $2,700. And these people can also the scammers can also use different tactics to try and make our victims feel guilty or scared. Sometimes they'll use threatening words, or they'll say, hey, you gotta help me, I'm gonna lose my job if you don't send me that money back. Or hey, my accountant's gonna lose his job if you don't send it back. So they're tricky, and some of these things sound legit, but really nobody ever accidentally overpays $3,000. So if you find yourself in that situation and you do think it's legit, you can always call one of us, call the sheriff's office, and we'll come and we'll check it out and we'll walk you through it. Or just ask your person, hey, I don't feel comfortable depositing a check that's for this much money. Why don't you send me a check for the correct amount? And that should take care of everything. So another scam that we've been seeing a lot of is the unemployment scam. And especially with the pandemic, when there's tons of unemployment claims coming in, this is a perfect time for hackers to take advantage of what's going on in the nation. So how this happens is there's this thing called the dark web. And the dark web is an information source that hackers use to share and sell people's personal information and other types of malicious software and other things you can think of that are harmful on the internet. So when this pandemic hit and unemployment centers were overrun with all these claims, they took advantage of it and used people's stolen identity to actually claim unemployment benefits, pretending to be regular citizens. So the problem that happened was people would start receiving information that they claimed unemployment, or they were entitled to benefits, or some people were attempting to claim unemployment benefits and realized that they've already been receiving unemployment benefits when they weren't, because it was somebody else pretending to be them. So if you find that you feel that your identity has been stolen, it may not be recent. It may have happened years in the past and just come to light now. If you look behind me, you can see the Federal Trade Commission has a website set up that you can inform them that your identity has been stolen. Or you can call our sheriff's office and we can make a report for you and forward it on to the appropriate agencies. And lastly, we would suggest contacting your financial institution and informing them that you feel that your identity may have been stolen, and they may have processes and things they want to do to ensure that you're safe and ensure that you don't encumber any financial hardships. A third scam we see is the my family members in trouble scam, I like to call it. This is one where a distant family member receives a phone call from someone pretending to be a nephew, perhaps a grandchild, and they're saying that they're in trouble. The person is requesting help. So for example, help me, I'm in Mexico and I'm in jail, or help me, I'm overseas and I'm stuck at the airport. And what happens is this family member will transfer money to the supposed other family member who's not really in trouble. You'll see this a lot is they'll say, hey grandma or hey grandpa, help me out, but please don't tell my mom and dad, I'm so embarrassed. And the reason for that is obviously if you call mom or dad, you realize that your grandson's fine or grandkid's fine. He's just at home playing video games. The way that hackers actually find out some of this information, and it may seem legitimate, is because they'll go onto social media and they'll find people that are traveling abroad. They'll go on their social media pages and maybe they'll find a grandma and grandpa through online posts and then find that grandma or grandpa and call them. So you may have an actual grandson or grandkid or nephew or niece and nephew who is traveling abroad. So that may sound legitimate. But I suggest, and we suggest, even if you receive that phone call, call that parent, even if they tell you not to. It's very important to realize you're not getting scammed there. And again, you can always call the sheriff's office if you feel like something's wrong, and we can walk you through it. Another frequent scam that we see a lot of is scams involving gift cards. And this can come in various ways. People receiving phone calls saying that their Social Security has been suspended, or the IRS has a warrant for their arrest, or possibly the utility bills are going to be cut. Or, hey, you won the lotto, but you need to pay $100 to get your winnings. All of these things are huge red flags because they're asking for money with gift cards. Nobody really does legitimate business, or at least companies like this, with gift cards. That just doesn't happen. The reason people use gift cards is as soon as you scratch off that number and pass it off, that money is gone. And it's usually overseas where we can't track it and the solvability is zero. Again, no legitimate business deals in gift cards. If somebody's asking for money through gift cards and they're saying they're going to cut your utilities or Social Security or IRS or any type of legitimate business, it's not true. And again, think about this. If somebody starts getting you in that scam, call the sheriff's office and we will come and we will help you through it. So the last and final one I'm going to talk to today is what's called a phishing scam. And phishing, if you think about it, is basically these hackers are throwing out mass emails and trying to catch, right? Trying to catch whoever they can with these emails. And the interesting thing about phishing scams is they're emails that are sent out that look like legitimate emails. There's been emails from, of course.
New affordable extended warranty programs.
So what's interesting is I'm here recording right now and I just received a call on my work cell phone about my car's extended warranty. I'm assuming that if I call this number, it won't be a legitimate company because they don't know what my car is, they don't know what brand it is, and they have no idea who I am. But they just call and randomly say that they have something to offer me or I'm in trouble, right? How interesting is that? I just received a scam phone call. And that reminds me, when we're dealing with phishing, which is that, it can be done by phone call, it can be done by email, and it can also be done by text. During the pandemic, there was a lot of phishing attempts through text saying that your package has arrived. And it had a link attached to the text. You click on that link, it would probably ask something for a username and password. If you give your Amazon username or password, or a username and password for something else, you're not necessarily logging into something good, you're actually giving away your username and password to a scammer. So, back to emails, you may receive an email that looks like it's from Amazon, that looks like it's from Craigslist or Chase Bank. If you look back here, here's an example of a fraudulent email that looks like it came from Chase Bank. This is not true. It's asking for login information. If you receive an email from that, look at where the address comes from. It may say chase@something.com. That something is very important because sometimes it may not be a legitimate address. It may say a certain amount of numbers. It may say chase.net instead of chase.com. Things like that, though confusing, are red flags that this is a phishing attempt. If you click on the link, what's going to happen? Well, there's a couple things that may happen. It may pop up with another window asking for, like I said before, username and password. Or maybe they'll ask for your Social Security number and date of birth. All these things they're asking for are ways to steal your identity or to get into your accounts. What also might happen is it may download malicious software onto your computer. That will install any number of things where they can track your internet usage, they can track your keyboard usage, they can track tons of stuff and get all your information from your computer. Phishing attempts are very dangerous and they're tough to identify. So, rule of thumb, if you get an email and you don't know where it came from and you don't know why you're getting it, it's probably a phishing attempt. Now, another problem with phishing attempts is that they may come from actual legitimate emails. What happens is some people's usernames and passwords for their actual email accounts get hacked. And then the hackers are able to send real emails out with fake links. You'll see this as an attempt. It'll come from an email of somebody you know. But the email body will say, hey, check this out, and then have a link. This is not something that normal people send out emails of. You know, normally it's like, hey, and there'll be a story behind it. But these phishing attempts usually just have, hey, look at what I found, and then a link attached. That link attached is filled with malicious software, like I said before, or attempts to gain access to your information. What also happens in this type of malicious software is people will claim to be computer repair experts, and they'll ask to log into your computer remotely. This is opening up all of your computer assets to the person who's logging into your computer. And they'll be able to pull personal files, web browsing history, and a ton of other things. And they'll be able to lock it down as well. So again, it's not too late. Shut your computer off and take it to a local repair center. Thanks for checking out this video. The Sheriff's Office is here to help you. If you feel it necessary, forward this on to some people that you may think may fall victims to these types of scams. And remember, you can always call the Sheriff's Office at 243-7100 if you have any questions, and we'll send a deputy out to talk to you. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.